This is Simeon Russell coming at you with nothing but Knicks. What's poppin', my Knicks family? I'm going to jump into this Houston game, and then I'm jumping right back out. I just don't think there's too much for us to learn from this game. Houston simply outclassed us. They're on a total nother level. I think this game did let us know that despite our 3-game win streak, we are not there. I think most of us knew that from the beginning, but we were kind of hoping somewhere in our hearts that we could pull off an upset and start to really shock the NBA and let people know that we're on the map this season. But it didn't happen, right? And it's cool. I think most of us really did expect what happened last night. Houston is just potent. They're potent, man. I mean, of course, they knock it down from 3. And because they knock it down from 3, the lanes are wide open for penetration and screen and rolls. They are too hard to defend, especially for a team like us. We're a team, we're just learning what we can do. They have too many veteran players, and I don't mean old vets, young vets, right, that are in their prime and understand the game at the same time. So they're going to be a tough team to beat for anyone. I'm not sure if you can even defend them. I think you might have to match them point for point, and you're only going to have teams like Golden State that can do it. Obviously, Golden State can probably be one of the teams that beat Houston. We've seen it in the past already, but I think Houston might be a different animal this year, especially with Chris Paul there. But that's cool. That's cool. It let us know where we are and that we've got to learn. So, like I said, there's not much to take from this game. I guess I can take out of it Damian Dotson, that I think he earned some minutes. I like the way he played, even though it was garbage time. But he did get some, regular game minutes, some meaningful game minutes. I like his energy. He finally scored a bucket. And I think he earned some minutes in the rotation. And I think Michael Beasley probably earned some more minutes out of the rotation. Damian Dotson may be taking some of Michael Beasley's minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Beasley gets waived. The Knicks have to make a move soon. Joakim Noah, he'll be back in about 5 games. And we can't hold 16 players on the roster. Right now, Jared Jack is basically replacing Joakim Noah or substituting for Joakim Noah in the lineup until he comes back from suspension. Jared Jack has a non-guaranteed contract, but I think he's going to get a contract for the remainder of the year. Based on his play and his leadership abilities, I think he'll get that contract, which means somebody else is going to need to get waived. In the past, we all thought it was going to be Jack. It's probably not anymore. So someone else is going to need to get waived. We could stretch Joakim Noah, but I don't think that's a good idea. You stretch Joakim Noah, that means you take the remainder of his salary, you stretch it over 5 years, but it's still a cap hit over 5 years, and we're going to need that money. Right? So I don't think that's a good idea. We could waive one of the young guys, but why? If we're a young team building, why? We could waive Sessions. I'm not sure how good of an idea that's going to be because there's no guarantee that Jared Jack is going to make it throughout the whole year without breaking down. So you need some kind of insurance at the point guard slot because Ron Baker just ain't getting it. The Knicks could possibly do a 2-for-1 trade or a 3-for-2 trade or something like that, where they're sending out more players than they're bringing back. That's something that I would like to see, because we have a glut at the point guard spot. We have a glut at the center spot. You know, at the point guard, we got Jack. We got Ntilikina. We got Sessions. And I guess we have Ron Baker. I say I guess because to me, he's kind of iffy at that point guard spot. Then at the center position, we got Cantor. We have O'Quinn. We have Hernan Gomez. And we have Joakim Noah. So there's a glut there. A 2-for-1 trade, 3-for-2 trade can clean up that glut and maybe bring us back a legitimate 3-man. Somebody mentioned that in one of the comments on one of the shows. So, you know, whoever it was, raise your hand, and I'll make sure I give you the credit for it, because you really kind of put that idea in my head about us getting a getting a legitimate 3-man. Because we definitely need one. Right now, we're starting Courtney 3 at the 3 spot. Courtney Lee at the 3 spot. He's not doing bad. You know, he plays good defense. The offense is suited, to get him, get him some open shots in the corner, rolling off of screens, things like that. So it's good for him. Threes, taller, bigger 3-men. Might have a hard time guarding him sometimes, but he's small at the spot and is giving up a lot of length on defense. He's 6'5". Most 3-men are 6'8", 6'9". So we definitely need a legitimate 3-man. So I'm hoping that Scott Perry's on the phone, seeing what he can do. But if we can't find anything, I wouldn't put it past Michael Beasley being waived. His minutes are slipping. I definitely don't see him in the future for this team. I'm not sure where he fits in. Sometimes he, if you need a bucket, maybe he's a guy that can go one-on-one, but I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I had a lot of hope for him at the beginning of the season, but I'm not seeing it right now, and maybe that'll change. But right now I'm not seeing it, and I think he could be a candidate to get waived. There will definitely be a move coming in the next couple of weeks, so let's keep our eyes out on it, have some discussion about it. Let's see, see if we have some ideas about it. But something's going to happen. It has to happen. Something's going to happen within the next couple of weeks, so let's watch out for that. I want to talk about Porzingis and not his play. I want to talk about his brother Giannis. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. A story came out today where he explained, Giannis I'm talking about, explained to a Latvian newspaper or someplace over there the reasons that KP skipped the exit interview. Why? I mean, that's in the past, bro. It's done. What's the purpose of bringing it up now? Phil Jackson's no longer here. Yes, we still have Steve Mills and Jeff Hornacek, but we're going in a different direction. Let's leave that drama back there. And what's more troubling is that it's not just his brother talking. Giannis is actually Porzingis' agent. So was he trying to send a message to the Knicks? I don't know. But look, this is what he said. You can't escape reality, and the Knicks must also see that. From their point of view, Kristaps is the focal point at the moment, so you cannot upset him much, or otherwise at the end of the season, he will say it's not cool here. Now, what is he saying? Is he trying to tell the Knicks that they need to pander to him? Or is he simply trying to say, hey, get it together, man, because if not, KP is gone. I hope it's what I just said. Because if he's trying to say that he needs superstar treatment and all that kind of stuff, I don't want to say kick rocks, but I almost want to say kick rocks, bro. Right? Because we don't need that. We need KP to just be humble, and I believe KP is, but he probably needs to tell his brother, cool it. Cool it right now. Just cool it. What's more upsetting, though, is that Giannis is not just acting in the role as his brother, sticking up for his little brother. Giannis is KP's agent. So now the Knicks got to deal with this guy. So it seems like, he's trying to send a message to the Knicks, but it's the wrong way to go. If you're the kid's agent, call up the Knicks and tell them, right? Don't put it out in the newspaper. Call them up and say, hey, we want to make sure this is going right. I don't like that he's jumping out there, and to me it's kind of his immaturity as an agent, and understanding how to play the politics of the game a little bit. I think KP needs to get him on the horn or whatever it is and say, hey, let's take a chill pill, bro. Let's just focus on basketball right now. He even brought Melo into the fold. Right now, Melo was gone. He's in Houston, but he brought Melo into the fold because he didn't think Melo was actually being a leader. And the reason that he had and his family decided for KP to skip the exit interview is, basically to try to make change within the organization. This is what he said about Melo. In reality, if he for once decided to fight for something, we wouldn't be in this situation, and Kristaps wouldn't be forced to take all the damage on himself. It wasn't done for some personal interest or ambitions or dislike for someone. It was for the sake of overall peace. It should have been a task for the team's leader, but Melo and his people around him never tried to change anything. See, I think that's a bad move, bro. I think that's a real bad move. Melo's got some powerful people behind him. I believe he's with CAA, and they represent a lot of people in the league. And you never know. You just never know when KP, Giannis's client, as well as his brother, is going to need to partner or do some kind of work with CAA. You don't know. And, when you're talking about Melo and his people, you're talking about CAA. I think that's a bad move. If you're if you're an agent, you don't burn bridges. You don't burn bridges. You just don't, because you never know how things are going to come full circle. You never know how things are going to come around. And I guess what Giannis is trying to do is put some pressure on the front office. Let the Knicks know KP is not a sure thing to sign an extension. But I just think he went about it the wrong way. But let's talk about Frank. I want to talk about my boy Frank a little bit, because I love the defense that he played on James Harden. I know you all saw the same thing. I love the defense, but what I like even better than that is his quote afterwards. This is what he said. It was very challenging to defend that type of player. So I think I could have done a better job of stopping him, and I'll definitely work to stop players like that in the future. I think I learned a lot from this game. Now, I'll just watch the film and work on my abilities. I think I read another quote somewhere where he mentioned that he was mad that James Harden, got off the way that he did. You got to like that kind of fire from the kid. He's taking it personally that James Harden was able to get off, and he wants to be able to stop him. He wants to be able to shut that down. Other rookies, other players in the league, hey, that's James Harden. He was going to get off anyway. But he's taking it personally to say, I need to learn how to stop these kind of players. You got to love that, and you got to want that. So, much respect to Frank for that. Much respect. I enjoyed, even though it was garbage time and we were getting blown out, I enjoyed watching him the whole fourth quarter. He made a few mistakes, but what rookie's not going to make mistakes? He ended the night with 2 points, 8 assists, 5 steals. I really like that 8 assists and 5 steals. He did have some turnovers. You know, he still, I think, needs to get used to the speed and aggressiveness of the NBA. Sometimes you see, a couple lazy passes. He'll lay a few lazy passes out there, but he'll learn that, and he'll fix it. I believe he'll fix it. He seems really smart, and his work ethic seems off the charts. So I think he'll definitely learn from it and fix it. I read an article by Frank Isola, and he was talking about Frank and said, he was just kind of posing the question as to when Hornacek should begin to start Frank. And like he said in the article, against Houston wasn't the night to do it. I agree. You don't start him against James Harden. Not now. But soon. I think at some point you got to go with the kid, right? And I think what Jeff is probably trying to do, which may be a good idea, let's try to win. Let's see if we can win. And if Jack can get us there, and then Frank can play in some meaningful games, even if he's coming off the bench, he can play in some, some meaningful games down the line this season. That'd be really good for his development. But I think if we get to, we start to get into January and it looks like, we're not going to be competitive for a playoff spot, then you'll see Frank start. But I think, right now, having Jack there, and I'm really glad that this development came to be. And, Scott Perry must have obviously seen something in the past. I think he was going to try to bring him to Sacramento. So, he's seen something and liked something with Jarrett Jack. And so I'm really glad that Jarrett Jack is the kind of guy that can mentor Frank. Frank can see his toughness and his leadership abilities and learn from him, so that, Jarrett Jack is really helping to groom him. And, so I feel fortunate for the kid. And look, I'm heaping all these praises on Jarrett Jack, and I know a couple of shows ago I was like, I don't really like Jarrett Jack's game, but I still cringe at a couple of the shots that he takes, but overall I like what he's doing. But I think at some point this year Frank should start, and you got to kind of give him the keys and say, hey, take it, young fella. Let's see what you can do with it, and let's ride off with you. Probably not yet. I think it was a good article. Made a lot of sense. I don't always think that about Mr. Isola, but and I've gotten a couple of nasty tweets from Mr. Isola in the past, but I seen him at Knicks Media Day one day in 2014. I was at Knicks Media Day. And I seen him there, and he was like, kind of asked where I was from, and I told him, because I was actually writing blogs at the time, and he kind of looked at me funny, and I think he knew who I was because he had sent me a couple of nasty tweets. We didn't have too many words beyond that, but he didn't really send them public tweets. He sent them, private messages. That's how he does it. But I still read his stuff from time to time because sometimes he makes sense. A lot of times he's, kicking some bull because I think he has something against the Knicks. They got a little bit of history there with him and MSG, but, whatever it is, whatever. Frankie Ice. So let's get into this Pheonix Suns game a little bit. I don't know much about the team. I haven't really seen them play. I do know that they're kind of hot right now. Ever since they banned Bledsoe from the team and had a coaching change, they've been 3-1, and they just beat the Wizards in D.C. So this isn't going to be any kind of a walkover game. They're 4-4 right now, and I think they're feeling good about themselves. I want to see Josh Jackson play. He was a rookie that I liked in the draft. I want to see him play. They got some guys doing some things. Of course, we know about Devin Booker. T.J. Warren, their small forward, dropped 40 points against the Wizards the other night. 72% shooting from the field. Is he going to replicate that 72% shooting? I don't think so, but drop 40 points. That's pretty nice, and 10 rebounds. He shoots like 20% from three. I mean, the kid is averaging 18 points and 6.5 rebounds a game. So he's putting in some work. Given that he's not that good of a 3-point shooter, I would put Hardaway on T.J. Warren, because Hardaway has a problem guarding that 3-point line. He's terrible at it. His rotations are not good. And, if T.J. Warren isn't really a 3-point shooter, isn't really a good 3-point shooter, then, I think I'd go with Hardaway, because he might not kill us if Hardaway leaves him open from 3. Now, Hornacek, I'm thinking will probably put Courtney Lee on Devin Booker. He put Courtney Lee on Harden versus Houston. And then, you'll see Cantor guarding Tyson Chandler. That should be okay for Cantor. Chandler's not really a scorer. And, Chandler is long and those things, but he's not going and getting buckets. Not at this point in his career. He never really was a bucket getter anyway. He scored off that screen and roll, but he's not. So Cantor should do okay on defense. And then Marquise Chris, I think KP should be fine. Right. I'm not exactly sure how they play, so I can't even break down their game. The only thing I can do is talk about what we should do right now, because I'm not sure exactly how they play. I want to see how we rebound. How do we respond? So far this season, each time we've been blown out, we came back, and we came back with a vengeance. I want to see, can we do the same thing? Can we do the same thing? Can we come back and play that type of game? Hopefully, playing a team like Houston didn't shake us. I want to see Dotson get more burn. I think that he's earning his minutes, like I said earlier, and that he can be a big, big, big help for this team. I actually think, in the beginning of the season, they talked about the core of Frank Ntilikina, Billy, KP, and Ron Baker. I think Dotson may have replaced Ron Baker in that group, or at least is added to that group, and that group is now 5. But I think Dotson is in there, and they're seeing this kid's talent and what he can do, his defensive abilities. Look, I'm harping on him again. I'm not going to go into it. You already know how I feel about him. But I'm definitely looking to see him play a little bit more. I want to see the Knicks get that fire back. In the 3 previous games to Houston, they played with a lot of edge, a lot of fire, a lot of desire. Against Houston, they kind of started out that way, but then they lost it once Houston got going. So I want to see them regain that against Phoenix. Win or lose, I want to see that fire. I think that tells us a lot about the team and the team's mentality and the culture that's being built. As you all know, we're playing against Hornacek's old team. I don't think it's much of a storyline. He played against them last year, so I don't think there's any motivation attached to it. Eric Bledsoe won't be playing. Phoenix seems happy to let him sit while they pay him. I don't hear or see anything on the trade front, especially right now with the Knicks. Although, as mentioned earlier, the Knicks need to make a move within the next 2 weeks. And but we talked about cleaning up the point guard glut. Now, if you brought in Eric Bledsoe, you'd be moving a point guard, most likely. But, I don't see anything like that happening. Although, as I mentioned in show before, I wouldn't mind having Eric Bledsoe on the team. And you can go back and look at one of those other shows to, hear a little bit more about it. I'm not going to go deep into it now. All I know is there's nothing on the Eric Bledsoe front that I hear of. I'm going to definitely be watching the game tonight. Let's chop it up on Twitter. Hashtag NBK. All right, remember that. Hashtag NBK. I'm going to use that hashtag a lot. So get at me on Twitter. I'll post some stuff on YouTube in the comments if you leave any comments here. And let's have a good game tonight, y'all.